a WYFF News 4 sports special.
We've got experience. We've got experience and talent.
College football is back. Expectations higher than ever.
And we have some returning players, but they're hungry as ever.
New leaders take the field.
I feel like I can play that role. I'm confident in myself, confident in my abilities.
Hard work, it's demanding, you're held accountable.
Now, WYFF 4 Countdown to Kickoff.
So here we are again, another college football season already here. Thank you for joining us for our Countdown to Kickoff. I'm Mark Whiteman. Julia Morris will join us in just a moment. Palmetto programs in a Peach powerhouse in different places than last autumn. The Clemson Tigers on the hunt to return to the top, and in Columbia, an off-season of optimism ushers in Shane Beamer's second season with the South Carolina Gamecocks. Red and black confetti rained down in January as the reigning national champion Bulldogs broke a 4-decade drought, and for our FCS squads, a return to regular after a year that was anything but. So let's kick off with the Tigers, who will be the last team in the country to kick off Monday night, along with their opponent, Georgia Tech. That Yellow Jackets game last September, an illustration of the offensive struggles that saddled Clemson all season. All offseason, it's been QB watch between DJ Uiagalelei and five-star freshman Cade Klubnik. But while they've pushed each other, there's no controversy about who will start week 1.
DJ's the starter, and we want to certainly get Cade as many opportunities as we can to play, but it'll be the same as it was when DJ came in here. It'll be within the flow of the game and flow of the season. It's important to get Cade some opportunity as we go through the season, because DJ, I know he's got great aspirations, graduating in December. I mean, it's important to get Cade ready to roll. Hopefully it'll happen in a positive way as we go through the season. He'll get plenty of experience.
So Clemson and Georgia Tech, the final two teams in the country to kick off week number 1 Monday night from Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
South Carolina surprised many last season as first-year head coach Shane Beamer guided the Gamecocks to a winning record and a Duke's Mayo Bowl victory over North Carolina, all while starting 4 different quarterbacks. But Beamer and the Gamecocks are hoping all the shuffling is behind them, with Spencer Rattler leading the offense, and the Oklahoma transfer is excited for his fresh start. The top quarterback recruit in the class of 2019 was 15-2 as the Sooners starter, but he was booed and benched after some uneven performances last year. Rattler's used to the big stage, but this will be an all-new experience, and his head coach is eager to see how he responds.
It's going to be his first time in a game running this offense. It's going to be his first time in that stadium, so there's a lot of unknowns with him. So I think the biggest thing with him and any of our guys is just go out there and just, I know it's cliche, but just do your job, be yourself. You don't have to be Superman out there. And, he's a older guy. I know he's excited. We've had some good conversations here this week, and I'm excited to go watch him and all these guys play.
I'm just excited to see all the fans out there, hear 2001 play, Sandstorm, all that. I'm excited for it, running out that tunnel with my team, with the coaches, everything. And, hopefully get the anxiety out the way. Not nervous, but just excited.
And he won't be waiting much longer. The Gamecocks kick off in less than 48 hours under the lights against Georgia State and former South Carolina interim coach Sean Elliott.
Kirby Smart brought Georgia back to the promised land in January as the Bulldogs blitzed Alabama for their first national championship since 1980. The talent's all still there, but Georgia will need to replace a record 15 NFL draft picks. They're also replacing their defensive coordinator, Dan Lanning, the 36-year-old, now leading the Oregon Ducks, Georgia's opponent this weekend in Atlanta. Smart showering his former assistant with praise, citing Lanning's organization and leadership, and he's psyched about the opportunity to open against a high-profile challenge in the same stadium they are planning to return to in December.
Your hope is you're back in the stadium and you've gotten a chance to play in it once already when it comes to the SEC championship game. So that has a lot to do with it. But just in general, I think playing a big-time opponent opening, I just think it fires up your fan base. It fires up your off-season workouts. To me, it's a great opportunity to go out and schedule opponents that get your fan base and your team excited to play.
Oregon expected to start Auburn transfer Bo Nix at quarterback. He is 0-3 against the Bulldogs. And he's only thrown one touchdown pass against Georgia's defense in those 3 games with 2 interceptions. Last year, Nick said UGA had one of the best defenses he's ever faced. That defense looks different this time around, but Smart believes others are ready to step up, including Jalen Carter, a preseason favorite to be one of the first players selected in next April's NFL draft. Well, Saturday's showdown between the Ducks and Bulldogs set for a 3:30 kick at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Shane Beamer enjoying the journey with South Carolina, not afraid to have some fun either. His thoughts on karaoke, barbecue, and more still to come. But our statewide tour of college programs just getting started. After 2 seasons in 1 year, 3 SoCon programs enjoyed a normal off season, and they're looking forward to this fall.
Hey, welcome back. Well, it was a year unlike any other for our college football teams at the FCS level, who crammed 2 seasons into 365 days. The Furman Paladins wrapped up the spring with a 3-4 record, and 4 months later kicked off again, finishing 6-5 in the fall, including 2 losses by a combined 5 points. The Paladins made some changes this offseason. 4 new assistant coaches, including new offensive coordinator Justin Roper, after George Quarles was hired as ETSU's head coach. Furman returns 15 starters, but going with grad transfer Tyler Huff at quarterback. Between Huff and Jace Wilson, who got some burn last year, Clay Hendricks feels as good about his QBs as he has in a long while. But it's the other side of the ball that he points to as the Dins' identity.
I think for us, it all starts on defense. I just think there, if you ask me, what's the strength of your team? What's defense? I think it starts there, and then I think probably the biggest difference is just going to be the receiver group. Easily, most number of playmaker type guys that we've had, and so we may throw it around a little bit more. We still want to be really good at running football, and I think we've got a really good group of running backs. We want to be a dominant football team. To do that, you got to be really good in all phases, and you got to play that way every week.
Furman season kicking off just a short while ago against North Greenville, the first Thursday night game at Paladin Stadium, and their first meeting on the gridiron with the Crusaders. As for NGU, they won 5 games last season after just 3 in 2019, but they have a few skill position players to replace this year, including last year's leading rusher Dre Williams, who will be sidelined the entire season. With Williams out, Powdersville product EJ Humphrey is expected to step up.
I feel like I could play that role. I'm confident in myself, confident in my abilities, but I feel like we have a lot of other guys that can help too to fill the role. So we're all going to compete each and every day. I feel like we all have that one goal to win in the GSC. So
he can catch the ball. You can do a lot of things with EJ. You can line him up in a lot of places. He can run the inside zone. He can run the outside zone. He can split out. He can go run routes, match up with linebackers, and be a weapon for you.
On defense, NGU will be led by Davion Donald. Last year, his 62 tackles ranked 2nd on the team and in the top 5 of the Gulf South Conference.
Wofford won 3 straight league championships from 2017 to 2019, but the Terriers struggled last year, going 2-14 combined during their spring and fall seasons. Wofford was picked to finish last in the preseason poll this year, but with 15 starters back from last year, this team believes they'll be all the better for the adversity they lived through last season.
We've got a strong culture. We've got a lot of guys that believe in what we're doing. We got a lot of guys that believe in, what we stand for as a program and obviously what they stand for as players. And so you're starting to feel the effects of that now.
The leaders who are here and older guys like those 5th years, they want to stay because they know they have leadership and they have poise and they have all the knowledge to give to the younger guys.
Jimmy Wyrick was named Wofford's starting quarterback this week. Head coach Josh Conklin says Wyrick won the job because of his leadership. Terriers play at Chattanooga on Saturday. And how about this for a great story? Down in the Low Country, former Wofford quarterback Peyton Derrick hoped to join the Citadel this offseason as a graduate assistant, but in need of another QB, Bulldogs head coach Brent Thompson convinced Derrick, with a year of eligibility remaining, to put the helmet back on.
I let him think about it. He was working at Home Depot, kind of living the life of a graduate here, and he said to me, he said, I don't know if I ever really thought of myself of getting back underneath the squat rack again. I said, well, if you want to play, you better get in there and get ready to go. He's put on 10 pounds. He's done a good job of integrating with the locker room and the guys in there.
And if that story sounds familiar, it's close to what took place in Columbia last year when Zeb Nolan arrived as a grad assistant before starting 5 games. Derrick starting for the Citadel tonight. The Citadel is playing Campbell right now. Well, we've still got more programs to preview tonight, including the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, who are coming off their first bowl win in program history. But when we return, an exclusive interview with South Carolina's Shane Beamer, who took a break from talking football to talk karaoke and sweet tea. Stay with us. You're watching Countdown to Kickoff.
Hey, welcome back. Shane Beamer is serious about winning and serious about the journey his Gamecocks are on to build from the basement to conference contender. He also doesn't take himself too seriously. This viral video, Beamer dancing to Soulja Boy's Turn My Swag On, has more than 2 million views on social media. We've heard his thoughts on this team, so when we sat down last month, I put him on the spot with questions that weren't about football.
I love what I do, and that causes me to want to work even harder at it. I wake up every morning and look forward to coming into our football facility to be around the people in this program and get to work. And I want our players to feel the same way as well. And you know, it's no way to go through college if you're a student athlete here on the football team in South Carolina and you wake up every morning and you dread coming over to the football facility. I want it to be a place where they enjoy coming. They know they're going to work really hard while they're here, but it's a place that I want them to look forward to getting around. And I see that all the time. Like, we give our guys the month of May off if they want to go home and see their families before summer school starts. And I can't tell you how many guys, they go home for like 2 or 3 days and then they come right back to Columbia, you know, just because they love being around here and being around their teammates. And that's what it's all about.
How do you relax?
Hard, because you never can truly get away, you know, because of cell phones now. You're never off. You're always texting recruits or FaceTiming recruits, or you've got 120 players in your program that you're constantly worried about. But, you know, I've got a great family, so I love being around my family. When I'm with them, I try and be dad and husband, and that helps me relax. I love to read, you know, so that's an outlet for me. And then I don't play golf as much as I like to, but being able to get out on the golf course and not be on my phone for the entire 4 hours and just get away, but still be able to compete. That's about all I do, but those things are enough for me right now.
What is Shane Beamer listening to on the way into work?
Something country music, you know. I listen to a little bit of everything, but usually I'm on one of the local country stations for sure. But being around our players and all that, you got to stay in tune with what they're listening to as well.
You a car singer? Do you sing in the car?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Totally. Not afraid. I was doing it yesterday. Drove back from the beach, and I was rolling up 26, and you would have thought I was live in concert, you know, coming up there. I was in the car by myself and having a great time.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Well, yesterday in the car, it was Darius Rucker. I was listening to a Darius Rucker live concert from 10 years ago. He was out at Red Rocks, I think, out in Colorado. Pretty much any Sam Hunt, Luke Bryan song. We've done some karaoke at my house at some staff functions and things like that. So I've knocked out a couple of Sam Hunt songs that have been pretty epic in my opinion.
I want to talk to you about barbecue.
All right.
Oklahoma or South Carolina?
South Carolina. Oh, I thought you were going to ask me the mustard vinegar where I upset one half of the Carolinas. Great barbecue in Oklahoma. Some great places out there, but hard to beat the barbecue here in South Carolina.
You have a take on the mustard barbecue sauce?
No, I'm not going to get into all that. I'm a South Carolina guy. I'll say that through and through. But we recruit in North Carolina as well as South Carolina, so I don't want to upset the people up there also. But I was born in Charleston, and I am a South Carolinian. Let me say that.
Say no more. Last thing, how sweet do you like your sweet tea?
It's sweet. I'm not going to overdo it. You know, my kids, they're probably over the top, you know, sweet. We were up in the Northeast this summer and they didn't have sweet tea, and my son kind of looked at me like, what do you mean you don't have sweet tea? So he got, I think, 4 different packets and was just putting it in there, so I had to tell him to stop. So pretty sweet, but not over the top.
Enjoyed my conversation with Coach. You know, Beamer called week 1 the great unknown because you've only practiced against yourself. But as we pivot the conversation towards our expectations, Julia, one thing that's not an unknown is how much excitement he has helped generate.
Yeah, I definitely think this is the most excited fans in Columbia have been about a season in a very long time, Mark. And I think that's because of Coach Beamer. His energy is just contagious. You can tell how much he loves this job. I remember when he first got hired, he said this this was his dream job. This is where he wanted to be, and he's achieving results. He's been phenomenal in recruiting, and the Gamecocks made significant progress last year, so I'm really excited to see how this season plays out for them.
You mentioned the recruiting. The other thing that stuck out to me is he surrounded himself with people he really trusts. He said earlier, right in the lead up to the start of the preseason, he feels more comfortable delegating now. He's truly growing into his own in his second year as a head coach, and there's all this optimism right now around the team. You have to see if you can capitalize on it. Of course, it's a very difficult start to the season, but we're looking forward to seeing how the Gamecocks do this year. Julian, I know we're also looking forward to, as we turn the conversation to Clemson, all the talk about the quarterbacks, all this talk about the quarterbacks. What are you expecting this year?
Yeah, that's it. All eyes on DJU this year. You know, down season for him last year. He definitely had his ups and downs after he came into the season with such high expectations. The one thing I remember about DJ, after Clemson beat Boston College last year, after the game ended, DJ was on the field practicing for a while after the game ended, and I asked him why. He said he was trying to fix his mistakes. I know the results weren't always there last year, but the maturity is there. He lost a lot of weight, trimmed down this offseason, and he has the mindset to succeed. I'm just eager to see if it actually translates into results this season.
I think that is so well said. You've seen how hard he has worked to mold his body this offseason. He's lost a lot of weight. Obviously, that QB run, such a huge aspect of the offense for the Tigers. We'll see what he can do on the field soon enough. We're excited to see the Tigers and the Gamecocks get started this weekend. And as we set our sights on the other programs in our area, well, you know, there's excitement in Gaffney for Limestone's new old head coach. After they went winless a year ago, Limestone brought back Mike Furry for his second stint with the Saints. He led the program in 2016 and 2017 before leaving to coach receivers for the Chicago Bears. The 45-year-old played 7 seasons in the NFL, and many of his assistants played in the league as well.
It brings the culture here. It really does, because now guys are saying, like, wow, we're getting coached by NFL coaches. They know what they're talking about, and we take everything they give to us, soak it all up, and then go put it to the field.
You know, there's 180 guys on this field that every one of them has probably a dream that they want to get to that level at some point, and so the guys have been taking advantage of that. They've responded to that, and they've come out here and worked their tail off.
Limestone will play their home games on campus this year for the first time. They're playing their season opener right now at Gardner-Webb.
And just like Limestone, Presbyterian has a new head coach this year. Steve Englehart replaces Kevin Kelly, the former PC coach who never punted. This season marks a fresh start and a new era in Clinton, and the Blue Hose has a new motto to guide them.
We have a motto here that's pull the rope, and that's exactly what it is. Those 3 things that I mentioned, effort, discipline, perseverance, and everyone being on the same page, not only just our football team, but the entire campus community.
PTR, pull the rope. With Coach E's been preaching. Him and their staff have come in. They've done a tremendous job since January, turning it around. First day, like, they came in and set the tone really, really well. The culture has changed, has been dramatic. I think it's going to be a very good, successful year.
Englehart says his team's biggest strength right now is its run game. PC plays at Austin P on Saturday.
And the Erskine football program has only been reinstated for 2 years, but in that short time, the Flying Fleet has made progress, going from a 1-win team in the spring last year to a 3-win team in the fall. Erskine can do something this year that they've never done before, playing a conference championship game as an associate member of the South Atlantic Conference. Erskine will play 9 SAC opponents this year, with head coach Shaq Boyd saying this season's schedule is the program's toughest yet.
It's a full schedule. Again, you know, it's an 11-game schedule. There's no open date. There's no bye. There's a chunk right there in the middle where we're playing 4 playoff teams virtually back to back to back. And, you know, so, yeah, we're going to have our hands full.
We are just excited. I mean, to join the SAC is a huge opportunity, and something to do in my last year here is a big honor. So I'm excited about the schedule, but there's definitely some teams on there that can play some football.
Boyd said this team is resilient and mentally tough. Erskine opens its season against Fort Lauderdale on Saturday.
Well, still to come, Coastal Carolina has been balling at the beach over the last 2 seasons. How young talent is expected to contribute this year.
Yeah, you got that right. Plus, following its first bowl win in nearly 3 decades, South Carolina State has high expectations heading into the season. Stay with us. You're watching Countdown to Kickoff. Hey, welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff as we turn our attention to Conway.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina has been one of the best teams in the state over the last 2 seasons. The Chants won their first bowl game in program history last year, finishing the season with an 11-2 record. With the return of quarterback Grayson McCall, the Chants are expected to be one of the top teams in their conference this season. McCall was named the conference preseason offensive Player of the Year and has even been talked about as a Heisman Trophy candidate. Coastal also has some young talent with 13 freshmen and redshirt freshmen expected to play in the team's season opener against Army on Saturday.
Those guys are excited about playing. They're welcoming the opportunity. Too, as a coach, you know there's going to be a lot of growing pains and learning curves, and that's the biggest challenge I think as a coach is you got to get the young guys. You got to put them in as many stressful, adverse situations throughout practice and see how they respond. You know, and that's the biggest question. We have no doubt they would not be in their position right now if we didn't think they could do it and do it well.
Edwell says each member of the D-line has to play his role well on Saturday to stop Army's offense, which averaged 32 points a game last season. Saturday's game set to start at 7.
And how about South Carolina State? The Bulldogs from Orangeburg won their first bowl game in 27 years last December, the Celebration Bowl, which is the only annual bowl played between FCS teams. It was a celebration for sure, but the Bulldogs believe they can achieve even more this season.
Our guys feel like, you know, they got most of those teams coming back, so they feel pretty good about the possibilities of what we can be. So we thought last year that this year would be our year, so we were a little bit a year ahead of schedule. Hopefully we can really get some benefit out of that year last year and have a big year this year.
SC State's year already underway. They're in Orlando tonight taking on UCF. The game kicked off at 7. Julia, we wait all year for it, and college football is finally here.
Yeah, and you know, I'm sure we're probably biased, but I think we have the best college football teams in South Carolina, in Georgia, that we have the pleasure of covering, so I cannot wait for this season.
I think that's beautifully said. We're looking forward to this season. I cannot believe it is finally here. Thank you for watching our countdown to kickoff. It is officially time to kick off. WYFF 4 is the place to turn for complete coverage of college football in the Carolinas and Georgia. For Julia Morris, our entire hardworking team, I'm Mark Whiteman. Thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the college football season. Good night.